Welcome to another episode of Message from a Watchman. My name is Symmanayah, and this presentation is entitled Battles. Before we get started, I will take a moment to read the disclaimer. As I read the disclaimer, this is important, and so you will find it in each video and each presentation. The views expressed in this presentation do not reflect the views of any technological portal I use. My views do not reflect the management and or staff of YouTube, Ustream, Facebook, Talk, or any other such communication portals. Like with any information presented, you are advised to research and seek confirmation. Each of us are held accountable for our own actions and decisions. Let the presentation begin. Welcome. Shalom. The presentation you are about to watch represents the reflections of Symmanayah, an individual who seeks to worship and obey the Most High Yahuwah in spirit and in deeds according to written and living scriptures. Each of us must give an account to our actions, and therefore the decisions we make either comes with consequence or benefit. It is Yahushua, our Messiah, that is our judge, and it would be wise to make sure our actions line up with his living word. As you examine this presentation, it is my hope that you examine it with a prayerful mind, with a mind to worship and obey the Most High according to his written and living scriptures. It is my hope that you are growing in maturity and learning the voice of Yahushua, the voice of the Spirit of Yahushua, so that you may accurately bear witness to whether the words that I present, the content that I present in this presentation lines up with righteousness. If you find that there are some things that you're struggling with or that you may have a question about, come, let us reason together. Email me or comment me and let us begin to reason. If there are things that are just totally against your core beliefs, then this presentation is not for you. I look forward to getting to know you, and I pray again that this presentation is an enrichment to your soul, your mind, your body, and your walk. I pray that this here presentation adds something of benefit. The name of the presentation is Battles, and we will get started. I would like to ask that you pause this slide right now for a moment, and please take a look at some verses that I would like for you to consider pondering on as we go through this segment. We are in spiritual battle, spiritual warfare, and we will continue to be until the enemy is permanently put away. Those verses are Proverbs 20:18, Ecclesiastes 3:8, 2 Corinthians 10:3 through 4, 1 Timothy 6:12, James 4:1, and 1 Peter 2:11. I will repeat these. Proverbs 20:18, Ecclesiastes 3:8, 2 Corinthians 10:3 through 4, 1 Timothy 6:12, James 4:1, and 1 Peter 2:11. Ponder on these as we get into this lesson. While these verses only represent a portion of scripture that you find within the word, I would urge you to read the entire book from cover to cover, from Genesis to Revelation. I would encourage you to read the entire chapters. Like I said, these verses are only a portion, and it is my intent not to throw scripture to try to push or force a belief or convince anyone of anything. Let the scriptures do what they're designed to do. Let the message in my words do what they're designed to do. And my prayer is that these words are righteous. My prayer is that as you read these scriptures, it gives you some idea that we are in battle, that this is war. It is real. Let us continue. Time is a very precious thing. And I say that because by time being precious, we can save a lot of time if we begin to ask one another, what are our core beliefs? Core beliefs. So in this thing that I call spiritual warfare or battles, or that the scripture calls war or battles, if we present to one another our core beliefs in the beginning, we can save one another a lot of time. Not waste time nurturing a relationship or friendship or fellowship with someone who do not share the same core beliefs we have. So let us begin to realize that one of the first lines of defense is presenting our core beliefs before we engage into too much fellowship with another. Let us come to realize that there is flesh and spirit, and the flesh war against the spirit, and we'll talk about that more in detail. In this battle, we are faced with decisions when it comes to communicating with one another. The words that we use, are we speaking apples to apples, oranges to oranges? The language that we use. Making sure we're on the same page. That is a battle. That's a battle. In the professional world, there's a term when people come together, there's a process that occurs that I think actually holds a lot of truth. And that is when you usually get two people together for the first time, two or more, you go through this process called storming, where people are vying for who's the most outspoken or trying to establish who takes on the leadership role. Then once it's established of who the outspoken, what the hierarchy quote unquote is, then people calm down and they call this norming. And then after they calm down and the norming, then you can begin to establish performance and start performing. Now I might have missed a point or two on there, but with that said, the flesh warring against the spirit, it's going to be a battle. Words and language is going to be a battle until we come to understand the language, what each of us means when we're talking to one another. One would think it's simple, but keep in mind, we carry a lot of baggage from home, from schools, from various other influential entities, individuals. And so, whether we say tomato or tomato, either or either, the language is a challenge when two or more individuals come together. So that's a challenge. Then we face the challenge of the newfound awareness of the Hebrew language, whether it be ancient, paleo, modern, or do we stick to English? One thing is for sure, we stay away from pagan, false idol names. Discernment and right rulings. If we're going to be in battle, we need to be able to discern. We need to be able to make right decisions, right rulings, right judgments in this battle. And we're going to get into that in this presentation. Family and fellowship. We're going to talk about that. There's a difference between bloodline family, quote unquote, and true family, those that do the will of the Father, those who seek to worship and obey the Most High according to written and living Scripture. That's our true family. So can we part ways with the blood family in such a way that the priority is set and we are obedient to Scripture? Fellowship, one with another, two or more gathered together, fellowship in the assembly. It plays a role in these battles we face. Altar events. The time when we have to take a moment and put something before the altar of Yahuwah, where we come to an impasse with one another and neither one of us can find the right words of influence. And so we find ourselves at an impasse that may jeopardize our fellowship, an impasse that may demand that we make a decision whether to continue in fellowship with one another or not. There comes that time when we have to place things before the altar of the Father. And in His time, watch, pray, and watch, and continue to study for His proof. These are key attributes that we're going to discuss throughout this presentation. So, let us begin to take a look at core beliefs. Core beliefs. Core beliefs are important. And as I have a few components as it pertains to core beliefs, let me echo my core beliefs. It is my belief that Yahuwah, that the Father, the Creator of all, is Spirit everywhere at all times. Everywhere at all times. It is my belief that fellowship was broken with the Father as a result of the Adam and Eve event. It is my belief that the Father implemented a plan of restoration and redemption, and we see it unfolding by Him allowing Adam and Eve to procreate and have children. So thus a plan unfolds. It is my belief that the Ten Commandments were inspired by Yahuwah and are alive and should be recognized and adhered to today until such time as we are actually with Yahushua, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. It is my belief that the diverse laws and ordinances and instruction of Yahuwah were inspired and written and documented by His servants, the prophets. And it is through His guidance, His spiritual guidance, that we have the scriptures. It is my belief that the feast, that the purpose of the feast can be adhered to forever, no matter where we are. The purpose, the seed of the matter. And that's discussed in another presentation. But it is also my belief that the Father, as Spirit, was manifest in the flesh as the Son. And this is a role that He took on. And that role as Messiah, as Yahushua the Messiah, the sacrificed Son, that conquered death, that ascended before the Father. Flesh cannot be greater than spirit. Therefore, this is the arm of redemption. Yahushua is the arm of redemption. He is the Word manifest in the flesh. I believe no man can come to the Father except through the Son, Yahushua. I believe we must acknowledge His sacrifice, because it is the sacrifice of Yahushua that made atonement. It is through His sacrifice and shed blood and His resurrection that we are able to share and join with His Spirit. As it is stated in John 14:26, that the Father will send the Comforter in His name, in the name of the Messiah, the Mashiach. And the name of the Messiah is Yahushua. Or as some say, Yahushua HaMashiach, which means Yahushua the Messiah. And we are told that the Father sent Him, His Spirit, in the name of Yahushua. So we are also told to lift up the voice, lift up Yahushua, that He may draw all men to Him. And so it is for that reason that I lift up the name of Yahushua. It is for that reason that I echo the sentiments of the Spirit of Yahushua versus just saying Ruach HaKadosh. With that said, it gives you some idea of my core beliefs, and we'll get into some of the bullets that I have and attributes dealing with core beliefs as we move forward. This concludes part 1 of Battles. Stay tuned for part 2 as the presentation continues. Thank you.